All right, I'm live here with James Te Huna. How you doing, mate?
Hey man, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Look, I'm super keen to find out what you're doing now. But for people that may have only just started watching the UFC, you might be old news already. So I'd really, really love you to tell us exactly when you started martial arts and how it got you to where you are now.
Okay, so a little bit about my journey. I was uh, born in '81, so I grew up through the '80s, and during that time, grew up in New Zealand. Boxing was quite big, so it was all over TV. Mike Tyson, David Ture, and those guys were my role models. And he got involved in martial arts, boxing at a young age of 13. Was a shy and timid kid, and boxing was like a tool to give me bit more courage and a bit more strength, and also knock down a few limitations that I had. Yeah, and I've been on the journey since then.
How did you get
That's
into mixed martial arts itself? So you started in boxing, which is
Yep.
obviously a great sport. I love boxing, and you can tell by the way that you fight that you got super great hands. But how did you get involved in mixed martial arts?
Mixed martial arts. I got involved by would have been I think 2000. My brother went down to the markets, and in these markets there was like these videotapes, and it was UFC videotapes, UFC 1, UFC 2, and we saw these jiu-jitsu dude named Royce Gracie dominate the martial arts world and other disciplines, and he's doing quite well. So when I was watching it, it felt like it was a like watching a movie, like blood sport. You got different disciplines coming in and versing each other. So yeah, it's a real thing. And we watched this little guy in a gi dominate. So I met a trainer, a coach by the name of John Pedro. Would have been early 2000s, and started doing his classes. And then he offered me and my brother matches up in Queensland on mixed martial arts shows, and we kicked off from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for those people that don't know, John Pedro is actually Tyson Pedro's father, and Tyson grew up kind of fighting with you in the gym as well as one of your sparring partners, and he obviously has a, a little bit of a different style to you, but definitely does talk highly of his time that he spent with you. What's the biggest thing that you've got out of martial arts personally?
Man, just the biggest thing I've got out of martial arts is, I guess, just like knocking down a lot of limitations that I had as a kid. Like, I had like a rough upbringing, and I guess with like conflict or just being a very shy and very timid kid. Like I wasn't very good with socializing. Whenever I was in an environment where I had to speak, or like on this, just like most cases, a lot of people don't like to speak in front of a large group. But I was that person where if it come to like a speeches day in school, I never turned up. That was my day off,
Yeah.
or ran away from home to make sure that I didn't put myself in that position. um, Even amongst my friends, if I was in like a big, large group setting, I would always like make myself small and just not being in the lights, and scared of confrontation. And I knew that at a young age that I'd do something about it. I knew that I had low self-esteem, low self-confidence, and I've seen these people in the sports on TV, which was Mike Tyson and David Ture and a few other stars, actually out there, and they've put themselves in this situation where they're able to face like go up into like a fearful situation and a hostile situation, and do quite well. And I saw boxing as that vehicle that was going to help me with all these limitations that I had as a kid.
Yeah.
And for me to start, man, it was like a massive thing, because I mean, boxing and martial arts is like it's natural to feel nervous, and you know, making that first step was like a really big step, and it was a huge step for me. But once I made that first step, even though it hurts, I knew there was something good that was going to come out the other side after that session, after the next session. So as I started doing each class, and as I had each fight, even though if it was a loss or if I got beaten up, I was still going to get something positive from it, and I was going to get better each day.
And it does layer like that. Like it layers from being frightened to do your first class. And then eventually for you, it ended up with you fighting in front of tens of thousands of people and even putting together a stellar walkout as the Men in Black. I think everybody loved that. And no one would have assumed that had come from like a shy kid who fucking ran away from school because he was scared of getting in front of his class doing public speaking. You know, like, I mean, that in itself shows kind of how powerful it is. How are you still involved with martial arts now? Tell us a little bit about that, because I had a chat to Arlene the other day, and she said you were her number one coach. So, you know, how does someone get coaching from you, and what are you doing inside martial arts now?
Okay, so I've been retired for 4 years now. Had a bit of trouble like transitioning out. And then got into teaching and coaching, and that helped me reflect back on my career and you know, be able to see what worked and what didn't, and what I needed to do to make things better. And as always, it doesn't matter if it's like fighting you're doing, like, you know, whatever your career was before, or especially athletes, what they've done in the past, and they go, oh, yeah, cool, well, I'd love to do that again because I'll try this differently now, knowing what I know now. So now I'm just passing on that knowledge and teaching people how to box, how to fight, and especially with I guess young vulnerable people as well, knowing that they want to step into the martial arts world and gain a bit of strength, gain a bit of courage, and gain all these things that martial arts has to offer. I'm there to help support them and give them a little push and a little bit of encouragement, and give them a bit of a heads up on what to expect and what's around the corner, you know. As yourself.
Like yourself. Look, I tell you what, it is tough for everyone. Even just, you know, like I still get asked, you know, like I haven't done any competition since 2014, and I still get asked, and I wasn't a UFC superstar. You know, so that transition's really difficult for everyone to go from fighter to coach, but it's the same transition, funnily enough, that I felt going from the military to then being a civilian. Man, that's a tough time in life, and it's not something that we're super prepared for. And I really think having some non-negotiables, like, well, no matter what happens, I'm still a martial artist, I'm going to train, some things that can help you get through those spots when you're looking for new employment or a new wife or a new girlfriend, whatever the hell it might be. It's nice to have those constants in your life. So I knew for me that I was never going to give up martial arts. And it just, for me, that kind of involved into coaching real fast, because I was kind of self-coached for a long period of time coming from a regional center anyway. So for me, I didn't mind it, but I still get little things in the back of my head, like, you know, people asking me to fight all the time. And I'm like, look, I'm a coach now. Most of my guys beat me up. I don't need to be fighting the best guys in the country again. But I think it is really valuable to give back, and super valuable that you're still involved with people at not only at a high level, but a grassroots level. So there is an old banged up guy in the gym that can help people make better decisions, because that's really important. Yeah. And I'm sure that you would have appreciated a little bit more of that going along too. Everybody was kind of flying by their seats of their pants all the way from the 90s probably till early 2015, you know?
Yeah. It's going off the note too, like when people are asking you fight, I'd like to see you fight again, man. When I used to watch you fight back in the day, man, I used to think that you're a bit of a beast, and you're definitely an entertainer. So yeah. I'll be amongst those people trying to give you a bit more of a push. Hey, should have another fight, mate.
Yeah, it's not happening. I've had at least 5 knee operations and bit on my elbows and cracked discs in my neck and my lower back. I'm just happy to be able to train.
Well, how did you get those? Was it through like training or competition or?
Man, to be honest, I don't really know. I just think it's wear and tear. You know, like I spent 8 years in an infantry battalion, and then like I probably made up for not having super supportive coaches or super good training systems with just training harder all the time. Yeah. You know, like it was pretty commonplace to just go, okay, well, I've got 20 guys in class. Give me a fresh guy every minute. You know, and you know, there's nothing technical or strategical about that, and it's probably still a useful training methodology every now and then, but probably not every night. You know.
Yeah, I know those ones, man. Oh.
Yeah. So, you know, I think these days people are a little bit smarter. They probably spar a little bit smarter too. Whereas, you know, there was a gym enforcer, gym bully culture where, you know, like if you survived, you would make it to the better fighters in the club, or you would just fall aside rather than actually like trying to figure out what the problems are in people's styles and fixing it as you go, and having, you know, like we use sparring like games a lot of the time now, where we, you know, like we told, you know, you're only allowed to do this, you're allowed to do this, and we're trying to develop a particular skill set. So we do that for 90% of the week, and then we spar once a week on the weekend, kind of like open sparring, making sure everybody does a minimum of a fight's worth of rounds, and then rests. Yeah. And then if they want to do more, they do another fight worth of rounds, but they rest in between every time instead of constantly training to exhaustion and then back again, you know, like, you know, where you risk more injuries. So there's an old guy going, man, you've done your fight's worth, have a rest. And if you want to do another fight's worth, wait until you've had a drink of water and you're a bit more recovered.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
So we do things like that. What have you done to help the next generation train a little bit smarter or better? What are some of the big changes that you've made?
Giving them information, a lot more information, trying to paint a picture for them to see, so they know what it looks like around the corner, what to expect. Talking, communicating a lot more. That's what I've picked up over the last few years. Over the last couple of years, I got involved in like team sports, and I was doing a bit of contact for the Dragons, for the NRL, and it was my first time being involved in the team sport, and just watching the coaches, how they just talking, and the team players all talking with one another, communication, and it's a real big thing. And I think from when I was growing up and during my career, I wasn't really talking enough and wasn't really communicating enough with my coaches. There was probably a lot more times where I was like thinking stuff up in my head. Oh, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? What if I do this? What if I do that? Instead of openly talking about things.
That's great advice. You know, if you're getting hit with this overhead right and you're getting mad about it, maybe like ask your coach to have a watch and see what's going on and fix that problem, you know, rather than trying to be tough and admit that there isn't a problem and go, no, I'll fucking figure it out. You know, like, I'm a fighter, I can figure this out. You know, when there's probably a room full of people that be like, oh, well, when that guy does that to me, I do this, you know, like, and that's real important, because especially being in like an ego-driven environment as well, if you guys can nut that stuff out with each other, you're going to get better faster, aren't you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's I'd say it's quite hard too. I mean, like, today, I guess as well, like, there's a lot more information out there than what it was when we were, training and competing, because I remember when I was, training and competing, there wasn't really much info, so I would turn to like Blitz magazines or martial arts magazine and just like looking up, oh, there's a new move there. I think I'll try this one on the next training session, or if I watch like a Pride fight and then someone's done something successfully, I'll like just cut that piece out, just replay it over and over and over again. How's that person doing it? And then just wanting. There wasn't really much information out there.
Yeah, now
I guess it's
and all sorts of stuff.
Now it's a lot more harder, man. It's information's coming at you at all different angles, and who do you listen to? Your coach will tell you, things, and you should always listen to the coach. But then other outside influences, your mates, or this person, or that person, that person, that person. Next minute, your cup is just getting filled up to the brim and just overflowing with too much information. So, who do you trust? Who do you follow? It's it's a hard thing. You just got to try and trust a person and stick to a small circle, I guess, as well.
I think attitude really helps there. Where like if everybody understands we're on the team together and no technique is a bad technique, and you're not going to be caught by the dogma of one way of doing things to another, then it doesn't. Those outside influences don't matter too much. Like, I mean, people are going to go buy a John Danaher DVD or a Gary Tonin one to learn some grappling. Who am I to say that to do my stuff? They want to come to the gym with that stuff. I'm kind of like, sweet, what did you learn? Show it back to me. Like we share the learning environment together, which is even more important for coaches to realize that you're there and you're in charge of culture and attitude and all these other things that are really, really important to kind of like help people sort through that mess as well, which is one of the reasons why I think veterans like yourself are really useful for people to have in fight camps. And I know I travel away just to get like a weekend with like old people in martial arts. Like I have Paul Cale and Dan Higgins help me a lot in Australia at the moment, and like we have international connections to John Jack Machado and Jay Zabelos over in LA, and I reach out to those guys for help when I need it, and a lot of that time the questions aren't 100% technical.
Yeah,
it's like how do you deal with this person, that person, and for yourself, you've dealt with those UFC and high level fight contracts before, so you're a good source of information for that kind of stuff, as well as the boxing and everything else. Now, would you like to tell us a little bit about some of the kids programs and stuff you've been doing as well?
Oh yeah, so the last few years I've got involved. Got an opportunity to mentor young people. So young people through community services. And it just goes, man. I love doing it. I love engaging with the young people. I love watching them grow and overcome certain things that have stopped them, or things that have kind of limited themselves with. And I love connecting them to the community, which is like a big thing, man.
What's one of the common themes with those kids? What would you say to a kid now who is 13, like you were many years ago, shy, worried, feels a little bit disconnected from the community, sad, doesn't have any mates? What would be your advice to that kid right now?
Man, open up and talk. Open up and talk, because I mean, like when you don't talk and when you sit back and just think for yourself, sometimes like, in your head you can paint like a different picture. I know that even like looking at young kids, they see stuff on like social media, and they might see Tai Tuivasa or other fighters, and they see these guys, wow, they look like badass guys on doing this and doing that, and it can paint a different picture for them. I had a young person that's all you could ask for me, to me, was about how many knockouts does Tai Tuivasa had? What's this, that? Man, a lot of people must fear him, be scared of him. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, well, I'll get you to meet this guy. And then the following week, he met him, and then Tai was sparring, so they're going quite hard out. And after the session, they him and a sparring partner would like, arms around each other and just, it was a good session. You got me with this. And they were like reviewing the session and shook hands and stuff. And I took my kid over to meet Ty, and Ty was like, humble and thanks. Oh, good session. You're going to have a good session yourself. And the kid came back with me, and he was a bit blown away, I think. He goes, man, I didn't realize he was so nice and humble, and he didn't seem like the person I thought he was. And I'm like, man, sometimes, if you look on social media and stuff like that, it can like paint a different picture inside your head. So it's good for you to meet these leaders and other people and talk and communicate, because it can make you grow as a person. Otherwise, if you stick to yourself and just sit back and just, sometimes you can make shit up in your own head.
Well, I think
so,
sometimes people feel a need.
Communicating is a good thing.
People feel a need to be a certain way sometimes on social media too, right? Like, oh, I'm a fighter. I better act like a fighter on social media. Like, I want to be a tough guy. I better act like a tough guy on social media. Where, like my mum always said, if you're not going to say anything nice, and you wouldn't say it to their face, like don't say it to anybody else. And I think if people would start treating social media a bit like that and being a bit more authentic, maybe we'd be helping these young people a little bit more to jump on there. Like it's really, I just unfollow and block everything. I just try and keep in my own little bubble of like, okay, we're doing martial arts, we're doing fitness, we're going to be fit and healthy, and that's who I am every day. And I think if people just show their every day, and sometimes that's going to be your shit day too. Sometimes you got to admit that, like I fucked up today. Today was a shit day. It would really help people maybe talk. Like you said, communication's the key. Whether you're struggling or you're setting up a really good team, or you're training a high level fighter, no one's going to get anywhere if we don't talk to each other.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's whatever you see on, if you see a poster come up, like everyone has a different perception too of things as well, so they might take it differently. So it's always good to talk things through and discuss things, and so we all understand.
That team, Tyson and Ty, holy dooly. I love watching those guys backstage. That is the most hilarious backstage warm-up that I've ever seen in my entire life. You have these big, muscly knockout artists all backstage dancing to girl music, like just non-stop. It is hilarious. But they create their own energy wherever they go, those guys. And like I love that, because I think when I was fighting, I tried every type of like serious, angry, fire myself up, super professional, tried all these different things. The thing that actually worked for me the most was going, well, you've done the hard work now, like enjoy it, turn the fear into excitement and just enjoy it, crack some jokes, have some fun, and then, after the walkout happens, it's time to, put a smile on your face and try and smile your way through the fight. That worked the best for me and actually made winning and losing easier as well, because you'd actually enjoyed some of the process. Because the fight camp's tough, and training for fighting is a grind. Some days you have excellent days and you're winning all the time, and some days you have shit days and you lose constantly, and you've got to enjoy it, or you won't get through those tough bits, which is exactly how you get the strength from martial arts as well. If you've never done the grind, then you'll never know the benefits that you're going to get from it.
Man, just such the biggest test, isn't it? Test, man. You put yourself in like a hostile environment. It's it's a huge test, all right? Yeah,
hostile environment, and then you have to try and enjoy it, because you're gonna go back in there as well.
Yeah. I find it funny because, like, I have a lot of experience now, like teaching beginner boxers. We do like had like a few seasons of like corporate fight nights. So we had people of all ages come through and start training for the first fight. So we'll explain to them, like, might give a bit of outside advice watching the spar. Yeah, come on, man, just enjoy it. You can tell they look straight at them like, what? And they'll get back to this. So it's or they will just come with experience, like yeah, you'll learn each time.
Yeah, and you know what? Tough for somebody who's only done 12 weeks of sparring, maybe ever, to try and enjoy the night. I'm torn with those corporate fight nights, because part of me think it's a great idea, and the other part of me thinks, no way in my world is anyone ever coming to my gym and fighting after 12 weeks. They'll normally do 12 weeks. They normally take 12 weeks just to get the guts to come up and spar on the weekends for a lot of people. And then I tell them that they have to be, like, there every Saturday for, the first test is be there every Saturday. Don't miss a sparring session for the next 3 to 6 months, and then we'll look at fighting from there.
Yeah.
And that helps me be on a level with, like, as a coach, having people fight for me that have the same commitment that I did. Like, I think it's an important lesson maybe for coaches out there, is that don't let your students become people that you dislike.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Now, the transition was tough for you. You took some big injuries in the end. Did you want to share some of that with people that might not know?
So during my career, I had like lots of injuries, like everyone else, and then I guess I got to a level where I could really challenge and test myself against these like big names at the time. And then when I got to that level, I guess I was like, in the end, I was like overwhelmed by a lot of things, like media and pressure and everything like that. And then underperforming in the gym, thinking too much, all that stuff we were talking about before, getting hit a lot more, and then suffered a loss, and the next one suffered a loss, and then becoming emotions started coming into the my training sessions and my career. And then he started getting hit a lot more. And then I started really feeling those knocks. So every time they'll get clipped in training, it will be more often, sort of thing. And then my last, I think the last 3 fights that I had, I got knocked out twice on those last 3 fights. Yeah, 2 of those 3 fights I got knocked out cold. And it was like a shit thing. I woke up and then went to the hospital, and they scanned my brain. They came back and they said, you got a few lesions popped up on your brain. Got to think about your next step. And I was like, oh, well, normally, like if I've copped an injury off training or fights, I would, dust myself off, fix myself up, and get back on the road again. But it's the brain, so kind of pulled me right back, and I was like, nah, well, I think I might have to call it a day there. You can't really mess around with that. And then I went to see some neurologists after that, and really started doing my own research into CTE and other stuff that footballers were getting overseas and the NFL and stuff like that. And kind of, I guess, like when that happened to me, being knocked out, I was, feeling bummed out and didn't know what was around the corner for me. I had like a bad recovery off it too. Like it took me maybe like a good month to like recover from it. I was repeating myself quite often to the people that are close to me, repeating the conversations again, or like I start talking away, and then halfway through the conversation, I don't know what I'm talking about. So that kind of really embarrassed me and bummed me out. So I struggled for a few months. And then best thing that happened to me was going back to teaching. Because then I guess like it picked myself back up, and I was searching for new ideas to build techniques and to better a fighter, and but it was definitely like a hard time in my life. Going back over it now, there's brain knocks. Comes with the sport, man. I think
you made a good decision, but it's definitely a wonderful cautionary tale for anybody that may be getting coached by yourself or myself or someone in the gym. That like the idea is to not get hit, you know. Like, and if you want to get good in a period of time, and you want to leave the sport safely, then that should really be like one of your really big focuses is skill development, and realize that when your coach is telling you don't miss training, don't miss the hill sprint, don't miss all this shit, there's real world consequences, you know.
Man, that's the biggest thing. What you just said there, don't get hit. That's the biggest thing that I preach, like to all beginners, to everyone. Because before, like during my career, it was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get hit, and I'm just gonna, toughen up and get back up and go again. But now that I've finished up, I use that. That line is like the number one line that I use to everyone is your first goal is to what? Be strong. What? Hold my guard up. No, don't get hit. Don't get hit. That's your first goal.
Yeah. And what would you see as the key to what would you see as the key to that? I think having a good guard for beginners, because it takes a while to get good footwork, and then good footwork after that, and then the skills come secondary, the slipping, bobbing, and weaving, and things like that. What would be your advice?
Yeah, don't get hit. Have your hands up. Working on your guard, working on your footwork. Your guard will keep in your shape, and your shape can include your footwork as well. So yeah, footwork, man, is you look at the most successful fighters out there that come out of fighting, that finish up in their career, they've been excellent footwork, and just like their main goal coming into every single fight is to not get hit. Rob Whittaker, he's really good, man. He doesn't get hit often, man. He doesn't get hit at all. It's hard to hit. If you're the attacker, you're up against Rob Whittaker, he's hard to hit, and everyone else can tell you that because he's just not there. His head's not there. He's really good defense, man. So he's going to have a long career, I think. Or if he finishes up, he's going to be quite he's going to be still in good shape too after he finishes up.
Yeah, and you know what? And he's done a really good job. He might be been like that second wave, and like for Australia and New Zealand to be doing so well coming from such small countries, it is really, really good. And Australia, for a country that has no wrestling, in high schools, that like we make boxing difficult, and like Queensland, we're lucky. Queensland gets Thai boxing, but like fight sports in general are frowned upon by half of the Australian community. The other half of us love it. So it's amazing that we've done so well, and I think the next lot are going to do even better again, which is a big thing now. I mean, we've had some champions, but I think the next lot are going to do even better again. So there's definitely some promising futures out there. Now you've got a big fight coming up with Arlene and Cyborg. Now, are you going on the team away with that one? Are you going to have to go over and then come back and isolate? Have you been planning?
No, so unfortunately, I won't be going over. But she's got but she is another important coach in her role too. Coach Wigglejohn as well. Coach Wink. She has she's had like a few coaches around here to support her during this journey. I haven't been there for too long. I think I've been there for like a year and a half or 2 years now. But she's been awesome to work with. She's easily motivated, and I find her like me. Like when I was training, man, I was like I was all kind of like, the more you train to be, the better you're going to get. And I guess that she has, she's gone to the position where she is by doing that. But now I think she's, physically she can finish Cyborg. If she brings her mental game on strong, like sometimes we're going to pull her back too. They'll definitely put her in a good position, man, to be able to finish his fight early. It's a big thing, and it's been a world title fight as well. She's been there before, having a world title fight. So it's definitely a really, really good opportunity for her. It's what I do, what I try and preach with her is, sometimes less is more. Sometimes less is more, and trying to like pull her back sometimes, because she's physically, man, she can like beat anyone, but sometimes you got to try and like pull her back and just ease up, and because she's got a lot.
And that can be a thing with really high performers or like really tough martial artists or fighters. Sometimes your job is to pull them back and rein them back a little bit. Like you probably don't need to be spending 6 hours of solid training, in a day. Like even 3 small sessions a day is sometimes a lot. So sometimes you got to pull them back. And I know, I think I trained for one fight in Thailand. Some days I get to the end of the day and I've done 5 hours worth of training and then wondering why I couldn't walk on the weekend. Like it's just a little bit silly to overtrain like that. You only got so many Ks in some of your ligaments, and you've only got so many knocks you can take to the head as well. Which is really important for people to realize. So sometimes smarter is better. Like you can pull back and do some drilling or some extra footwork or something instead.
Yeah, exactly, man. Sometimes you gotta be hard. Sometimes you gotta be smart. So, but she's got a good opportunity to do very well against Cyborg, and like I believe that she can stop her. Physically, she can stop her, man. She's got a lightning quick jab, and when she mentally comes on song, man, it's quite scary.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I'm definitely always cheering for Arlene and any international Australians for that matter. As soon as they go overseas and they start fighting, I don't care what gym they're fighting from. I'm always trying to encourage them and celebrate their wins as well, and try and encourage more people to do martial arts and get amongst a good team. Now, if anybody wanted to train with you in Sydney, do you run any public classes?
I currently teach one boxing class.
Yep.
Zoo, fitness. Yeah. So I currently, because most of my work that I do with the kids are in the afternoons and night times. So I don't have much time to do much else, but I always like make time for those that are willing to use martial arts to achieve their goals. So, Arlene's one of them, and then a couple other people too as well. Those that are willing to do something or keen to get involved in martial arts. There's a lot of people I think that will rock up and just they will kind of like feel like they want you to do the work for them, sort of thing. But nah, like if you're willing, and I'd rather have your will there in front of me, so I can just show you what to do, and you can be on your path, and you can do all the work, sort of thing. I'm just here just to guide you along.
Yeah, that's good advice. So if anyone wants to get down to the zoo and do a boxing class with James, it wouldn't be wasted time. Look, I appreciate your time this morning, mate. I won't take any more of it. It's a good 40 minutes. I really had a good time. I'll be in touch. If you're ever interested in coming up to Townsville and running a seminar, some boxing for MMA, I'd love to have you up. It'd be a cool thing for my students to do. I'm sure we could pack the mats full of people.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on this. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Everyone should go back tonight and jump on Fight Pass and watch some James Te Huna fights. You will not be disappointed, guaranteed. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, man.